Hi everyone, hope you're all well. So on today's vlog I wanted to talk about mobility aids and what they are and what I use them for. So I've got three main mobility aids and all three of them are an absolute godsend to me. So the first one is a rollator. So for anyone who doesn't know what a rollator is, it's got two handles and it's basically got three wheels and a bit of a basket in the middle, and it's something that when you walk in my case short distances, but people do go further afield with them, it just gives you that little bit more stability and a bit of a safety net that you're not just walking on your own when you're a bit unsteady, you've got something to hold on to. So I use that just to get from the living room to the downstairs toilet to the kitchen. So that's an absolute godsend, and it got to a point September last year, and that was when I was really struggling to stand up and walk, and my nan had had this rollator a couple of years prior but didn't need it anymore, so she gave it to me. So really grateful for that, because there's no way that I could have walked any kind of distance without it over this period of time. And then not long after that I started having to use a wheelchair. So I use a wheelchair basically anytime that I have to go out of the house, which originally was just doctors and hospital appointments, because one, prior to the last few months I was way too ill to even go in a shop or venture out and about. But also I did become a bit of a recluse, and apart from things that I had to do, I didn't really want to go anywhere, because the wheelchair's a bit of a strange one for me, because I have had some maybe bad experiences with it. Like right at the beginning when I first started using it, I'd go to hospital, I'd be in A&E, and people would say to me, "What's wrong with you? You're too young to be in one of them." And there's nothing wrong with me, I'm a human being, but obviously I've become poorly, and it doesn't matter how young you are, if you need a wheelchair, you need a wheelchair. So their comment like that did stick with me and made me, I guess, a bit more conscious about it. And also I suppose I was scared of going somewhere just out and about, bumping into somebody that I knew, who knew how on the go I was all the time before, and it might really upset them seeing me like that. So I did avoid going out and doing things. But over the last few months, gradually as time's gone on, instead of looking at the wheelchair in a negative way, I'm trying to look at it in a more positive way, and I kind of see it now. Yeah, I wish I didn't need a wheelchair, but the reality is I do. And at the moment, that's my ticket to freedom. That's the thing that allows me to make it out of the house. So yeah, people might feel sorry for me and everything, which I really don't want. But if that's the thing that makes life a million times easier and means that I'm not a recluse anymore, then it's fine. Like, I accept it, and I'm getting out a lot more now to the shops and out and about and different places, and I'm not as conscious now as for people seeing me as I used to be. And I feel like I've made quite a lot of progress with that over the last few months, which is really good. And yeah, it's just something that I've never been ashamed or embarrassed about it, but I guess I was really conscious. But it's not anything to be embarrassed or ashamed about. If you need a wheelchair and it makes life easier, just use one, and the same for any mobility aid. So yeah, I'm trying to see it more positively, and I really do feel like it does help me a lot to get out, and if it wasn't for the wheelchair I wouldn't be able to go out anywhere. So yeah, it's awful that I've become so ill. I've gone from being able to rush around to not being able to walk, but it's happened, and if the wheelchair can allow me to do more normal things again, but just in a different way, then I'll accept that, and I'll do that. So yeah, the wheelchair's an absolute godsend as well. And then number 3 is a shower chair. So because I can't stand up for long periods of time, it obviously makes having a shower quite difficult, and also having to hold on to something, you can't really do that when you're showering. So the shower chair just means I can sit down while I have a shower. Makes things a lot safer, especially with me being so dizzy and me having a heat intolerance as well. It can obviously cause quite a lot of symptoms, and it usually does when I have a shower. I feel quite horrific during and after it, so a lot more safer that I can actually sit down while I'm having a shower. So there's other little things that I kind of do as well. I'm still waiting for a perching stool, so I'll either just use a dining chair and sit at the worktop, or the shower chair can actually be extended, the legs on that, and I suppose can double up as a perching stool as well. But it's just little tricks that you can use just to make your life easier when you've got a chronic illness or disability. So yeah, I guess I wanted to do today's vlog because obviously I'm not the only young person out there that has a chronic illness or disability and that uses mobility aids, and I feel like sometimes, and this is only sometimes, very occasionally, but people do judge you and think that you're too young to need a mobility aid or use one, but there's so many mobility aids out there, ones that I've not mentioned, that other people will use, and it's all about what works for you in your health condition. But just whatever makes life easier, just do it, is my opinion. And I'm trying not to care so much about what other people think, because I was so conscious of that at times, I almost lost sight of what would actually help me and make me feel better and allow me to do things again. So now I'm not conscious of the wheelchair. Every day I'm like, oh, I could go somewhere today, and I love it, and I don't care what people think. And most people are just really sweet and just smile and move out of the way, bless them. So yeah, it is what makes life easier, and obviously it'd be lovely if none of this had happened and I didn't need them, but I do, and there's not really much I can do about that. So, but also something I've forgotten is a few weeks ago someone was giving some crutches away that they didn't need anymore, so we went and picked them up, and I've used those the odd time as well. Like, I can actually stand up a lot more sturdy than with the rollator, and put the crutch forward, then my foot, crutch forward, then my foot, and that's quite a good way to get going as well. So yeah, it's all about what works for you in your personal circumstances. But I did want to raise awareness that young people can have health issues too, and if you see a young person in a wheelchair, don't judge and think that they're too young to be in it or they're not ill. Like, people need these things for a reason. And I'm sure everyone who's in my situation has probably had a bad experience at some point as well. Don't get me wrong, 99% of people are lovely, but there is that odd bad experience out there which we don't really need. But I just wanted to say mobility aids rock. They're absolutely amazing, and I'm so grateful that I've found things that make life just that little bit easier when you're going through such a hard time. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure that you tune in to next week's vlog, because it's going to be the most special vlog that I've done, and I can't wait to share it with you all. Take care, have a great week.